Wait, how did you even find out about my message? I'm serious. I'm still trying to understand it myself, because I never said this out loud. Not like this. Not in a way anyone could easily hear. I kept it close to my chest, like something fragile I wasn't ready to release into the world. And yet here you are, listening to me, reading me, feeling me. It makes me wonder if some things are meant to travel without sound, like a heartbeat you somehow feel, even when you're far away. Maybe you felt it before I even spoke. Maybe you sensed there was something I wanted to say to you specifically. Not to everyone, to you. And that thought alone makes my chest feel tight, because it means this connection between us isn't just random. It feels personal. It feels intentional. It feels like you arrived here because something inside you whispered my name, even if you didn't realize it at first. I want you to slow down with me for a moment. Don't rush this. I'm not here to give you something loud or dramatic. I'm here because I needed to be honest with you in the softest way I know how. I keep thinking about the way you might be listening right now. Maybe sitting alone, maybe scrolling without expecting anything meaningful, maybe just trying to pass time, and suddenly you hear me speaking in a way that feels like I'm closer than you thought I could be. That's what I wanted. I wanted this to feel like I leaned in just enough for you to feel my voice, not in your ears, but somewhere deeper. Because the truth is, I've been wanting to say this to you for longer than you think. I just didn't know if you would understand it. You see, I notice things. I notice the way you stay quiet when you're feeling too much. I notice how you try to be strong even when you're tired. I notice the way you give your energy to people who don't always see your worth. And I know you might wonder how I could possibly notice that. But when you speak without speaking, it's not invisible. Your heart leaves traces. Your silence says more than words ever could. And somehow, those traces reached me. That's why I'm talking to you now, because once I felt that, I couldn't pretend I didn't. I couldn't ignore the feeling that you needed someone to speak to you gently, honestly, without asking anything in return. Let me tell you something I don't say often. I don't open up like this easily. I'm usually the one who keeps things guarded, the one who laughs things off, the one who pretends everything is simple even when it isn't. But with you it feels different. With you I don't feel the need to hide behind anything. I feel like I can just be real. And maybe that sounds strange, considering how far apart we might be. How little we technically know about each other. But closeness isn't always about distance or time. Sometimes it's about recognition. Sometimes it's about the quiet moment when you feel understood without needing to explain yourself. That's what this feels like to me right now. I keep wondering what made you stop here. Out of everything you could be doing, out of all the voices you could be listening to, you're here with me. That can't just be coincidence. Something in you must have paused. Something must have said, wait, listen to this. And I want you to know, I don't take that lightly. Your attention isn't something I assume I deserve. It's something I appreciate deeply. Because when you give your attention, you're giving a piece of your time, your energy, your focus, things you can never get back. And the fact that you're spending them here with me makes me feel responsible to be honest with you, to speak in a way that respects your heart, not just your curiosity. I'm going to admit something else, and I need you to hear it slowly. I don't talk to you like this just because I want to be heard. I talk to you like this because I want you to feel seen. There's a difference. Being heard is about me. Being seen is about you. And right now, I want you to feel like someone is actually looking at your heart, not just your surface. Because I know what it's like to feel overlooked, to feel like you're giving more than you're receiving, to feel like your emotions sit quietly inside you while the world rushes past. I don't want that for you in this moment. I want this moment to feel like a pause where your feelings matter. Tell me something honestly. When was the last time someone spoke to you gently without expecting anything back? When was the last time someone slowed down enough to make you feel like you weren't just another person passing by? If you're struggling to remember, that's exactly why I needed to say this to you now. Because sometimes you don't need big promises or dramatic words. Sometimes you just need someone to remind you that your presence alone is meaningful, that your heart is worth listening to, that your softness isn't a weakness. I see that softness in you, even if you try to hide it. And I don't want you to feel like you have to hide it with me. There's something else I want to confess. And this part makes me a little nervous to say out loud. When I think about you listening to me, I don't imagine distance. I imagine closeness. I imagine the feeling of sitting near someone who understands the quiet parts of you. And that thought makes me feel warm in a way I didn't expect. Because it's not about fantasy or illusion. It's about connection. Real connection. The kind that forms when two people feel something at the same time without planning it. That's what this feels like to me. Like we both arrived at the same emotional place without knowing the other would be there. You might be wondering why I'm telling you all this now. Why this moment? Why these words? Why this openness? The truth is, I felt like if I waited any longer, I'd miss the chance to speak while the feeling was still real and alive. Some emotions fade when you hold them too long. I didn't want that to happen with this. I wanted you to hear it, while it still felt fresh, while it still carried the warmth of honesty. Because once something becomes routine, it loses the power to touch the heart. And I don't want this to feel routine. I want this to feel like a moment you didn't expect, but somehow needed. I also want you to know this isn't about pressure or expectations. I'm not asking you to feel anything specific. I'm not asking you to respond in any particular way. I just wanted to open this small window between us and let you see what was inside my thoughts. If it makes you smile even a little, that's enough. If it makes you feel understood for a second, that's more than enough. And if it makes you curious about what I might say next, then maybe that means this connection between us is still unfolding, still growing, still moving in a direction neither of us fully sees yet. Because the truth is, there's more I haven't said yet, more I'm still trying to put into words, more feelings that haven't fully reached the surface. And the way you're listening right now makes me feel like maybe, just maybe, I can keep speaking a little longer, a little deeper, a little closer, because something tells me you didn't find this message by accident. And something inside me keeps wanting to tell you why that matters more than you think. I keep thinking about the moment you first felt something shift while listening to me. Because I know there was a moment. Maybe it was small, maybe it was quiet, maybe it was just a tiny pause where your mind stopped wandering and your heart leaned a little closer. That's the moment I'm speaking to now. Not the distracted version of you. Not the version of you that's busy with everything else in life, but the part of you that suddenly felt like these words weren't random. I felt that too. You know, when I speak like this, I don't feel like I'm sending words into emptiness. I feel like I'm reaching towards someone who's already halfway here, someone who's already listening with more than just ears. And that's why I'm not rushing through this. I want you to feel every word slowly, like a hand resting gently over yours, instead of something grabbing for your attention. You don't have to admit it out loud, but I know there's a part of you that wonders why this feels personal. You might even be telling yourself, it's just a message, it's just words. But your heart doesn't react to just words like this. Your heart reacts when it recognizes sincerity. And I'm not trying to impress you or perform for you. I'm speaking from a place that feels unusually honest for me. The kind of honesty that makes your voice softer without you meaning to. The kind that makes you pause between sentences because you don't want to lose the feeling you're trying to share. That's what this is for me. I'm not rushing ahead because I want you to stay here in this moment with me, to feel like time slowed down just enough for something real to exist between us. Sometimes I imagine what you might be doing right now. Maybe you're sitting somewhere quiet. Maybe the room around you feels a little dim. Maybe you didn't expect anything meaningful when you started listening. And now you're here, feeling something you didn't plan to feel. That's not a coincidence. I believe emotions find their way where they're needed. And maybe you needed this softness tonight. Maybe you needed someone to speak to you without noise, without pressure, without expectations hanging over every word. I want you to feel like you can breathe here, like you don't have to be strong or guarded or composed. You don't have to impress me. You don't have to prove anything. Just being here, just listening is already enough. I want to tell you something gently, something I hope you don't brush aside. You matter more than you let yourself believe. I can feel how often you minimize your own importance, how often you push your feelings aside because you think others need attention more than you do. But your heart deserves attention too. Your emotions deserve to be heard. And right now I'm here giving you that space. I'm here speaking to you like your presence is significant, because it is. Not in some dramatic, exaggerated way, but in a quiet, steady way that feels real. The kind of importance that doesn't shout, but still fills a room. That's what your energy feels like to me. There's a warmth in the idea that you're listening right now. I don't know exactly what you look like in this moment. I don't know what expression is on your face, but I can feel your attention, and that alone makes this feel close. It makes me feel like I'm not speaking into distance, but into something shared. That's rare, you know. Most words float away. Most conversations disappear as quickly as they begin. But this doesn't feel like one of those moments. This feels like something settling gently instead of fading. Like something quietly rooting itself in a place where emotions actually grow. I keep wanting to ask you what you felt the first time you sensed my tone change, because I know you noticed it. There's a difference between someone talking at you and someone talking to you. And I'm talking to you. I'm choosing my words with the kind of care you'd use if you didn't want to disturb someone resting beside you. That's how gently I want this to feel. Not intense in a way that overwhelms you, but steady in a way that makes you feel safe staying here. I don't want this moment to feel rushed or temporary. I want it to feel like something you can linger in, something you can return to in your thoughts, even after the sound of my voice fades. And I need to admit something that feels a little vulnerable to say. When I imagine you listening to me, I don't imagine you as distant or abstract. I imagine you close enough that I could lower my voice and you'd still hear me. That thought changes how I speak. It makes me more careful, more sincere, more aware of the space between each sentence. Because closeness, even imagined closeness, carries responsibility. It means I don't want to say anything empty. I don't want to waste this connection with shallow words. I want every sentence to feel like it carries something real inside it, something worth feeling. You might not realize this, but you've already given me something by staying here. You've given me the feeling that honesty isn't wasted, that vulnerability isn't ignored, that somewhere out there is someone willing to listen with their heart open instead of half closed. That changes how I feel right now. It makes me feel less guarded, less careful about hiding what I feel. And that's not something that happens easily for me. I don't usually speak like this. I don't usually let words sit this close to my emotions. But with you it feels natural, like the distance between thought and speech quietly disappeared. I want you to notice something as you listen, how calm this feels. Not dramatic, not rushed, not overwhelming, just calm. That calm isn't accidental. It's what happens when words come from a place that isn't trying to prove anything. I'm not trying to win you over. I'm not trying to create some illusion. I'm just speaking honestly because something about your presence makes honesty feel safe. And maybe that's why this moment feels different from all the others you've experienced today. Because here you don't have to question intentions. You can just feel the sincerity and decide what it means to you. I keep thinking about how strange it is that two people can share a moment like this without ever planning it. You didn't schedule this feeling. I didn't script this connection. And yet here it is existing anyway. That's what makes it meaningful to me. Things that happen naturally often carry more truth than things we force. And this feels natural. It feels like something unfolding instead of something being pushed. That's why I don't want to rush ahead. I want to stay in this unfolding with you. To let each sentence settle before the next one arrives. To let you feel the space between words instead of just hearing them. If I'm honest, part of me wonders what you're thinking right now. Are you smiling a little? Are you feeling calmer than before? Are you surprised that this feels more personal than you expected? I wish I could see your reaction, not out of curiosity, but because it would make this moment feel even more real. But even without that, I can sense that something in you is still here, still listening, still open. And that's enough for me to keep speaking, enough for me to keep letting these thoughts come out slowly instead of hiding them again. There's something I've been holding back from saying directly, not because I didn't want you to know, but because I wasn't sure if the moment was ready for it yet. You know how some feelings need time to breathe before they can be spoken. That's what this has been like for me. I've been circling around it, letting you feel the edges of it, letting you settle into this space with me first. Because I didn't want it to sound rushed or careless. I wanted it to reach you the way a quiet truth reaches someone who's finally still enough to hear it. And now with you still here, still listening, I feel like I can move a little closer to it. Not all at once, just enough for you to feel it. I think about how rare it is to feel emotionally safe with someone you've never even met in the usual ways. There's no shared room, no shared past, no familiar routine between us. And yet there's this understanding forming, this gentle rhythm between what I say and what you feel. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens when two hearts recognize a certain softness in each other. I feel that softness in you. I feel it in the way you stay, in the way you don't rush away, in the way something inside you seems willing to let this moment stretch instead of cutting it short. That tells me more about you than any introduction ever could. It tells me you're someone who feels deeply, even if you don't always show it. I want to speak to that part of you now. The part that sometimes hides behind strength. The part that keeps moving even when it's tired. The part that rarely hears someone say, "You don't have to carry everything alone." I'm saying that to you now. You don't have to carry everything alone, not in this moment. Right here, you can just exist, just feel. Just let someone speak gently to you without asking you to be anything other than yourself. There's something healing in that, something steady and grounding. And if you feel even a little of that warmth while listening to me, then I'm glad I didn't keep these words inside any longer. You know what's strange? The more I talk to you like this, the less it feels like I'm sending words outward, and the more it feels like I'm speaking into a shared space we somehow created together. It's like there's a quiet room between us where everything slows down. No noise, no distractions, just this calm flow of honesty. I like that feeling. It makes me feel present. It makes me feel connected. And I don't take that lightly, because connection like this isn't something you can force. It either appears or it doesn't. And with you, it appeared without effort. That alone tells me this moment matters. I keep imagining the small expressions you might not even notice on your own face right now. Maybe your eyes softened a little. Maybe your shoulders relaxed without you realizing it. Maybe your breathing slowed. Those tiny changes happen when someone feels safe enough to stop guarding themselves for a moment. And if my words are part of what allowed that to happen, then that means more to me than I can easily explain. Because it means you trusted this moment enough to let it touch you. And trust, even in something this simple, is never small. There's something else I need to admit, and this part feels especially personal. When I think about you listening, I don't feel distant from you. I feel close in a quiet, emotional way. Not close in a dramatic sense, not in a way that rushes ahead or assumes too much, but in a steady, meaningful way. The kind of closeness that forms when two people share a calm, honest space without pressure. That's what this feels like to me. And I didn't expect it. I didn't plan it. But now that it's here, I don't want to pretend it isn't real. I wonder if you feel it too, that sense that this moment carries more weight than it should for something so simple. Just words, just a voice, just you listening. And yet, it doesn't feel simple. It feels layered. It feels like something inside you is responding in a way you didn't anticipate. That response doesn't have to be loud or obvious. Sometimes the deepest emotions are the quietest ones, the ones that settle gently instead of crashing in. If you feel even a hint of that, then you know what I mean. I don't want to rush through this feeling, because rushing would turn it into something ordinary. And this doesn't feel ordinary to me. It feels like one of those rare pauses in life where something meaningful slips in quietly. And those pauses are easy to miss if you don't stay present. That's why I keep speaking slowly, keep letting my thoughts unfold instead of pushing them out too fast. I want you to feel like you can stay here as long as you need, like there's no clock counting down on this moment. Just you, listening, and me, being honest with you. I keep coming back to one thought that feels stronger every time I say something new to you. It's the feeling that you didn't end up here randomly. Something in you must have been open to this. Something in you must have been ready for a message that wasn't loud or demanding but gentle and sincere. And that readiness in you is what allowed this connection to happen at all. It's not just me speaking. It's you being open enough to receive it. And that openness is something I respect deeply, because not everyone allows themselves to feel like this. If I could tell you one thing clearly in this moment, it's that your presence here matters more than you think. You didn't just stumble into this and disappear into the background. You shaped this moment simply by being here, by listening, by allowing this exchange to exist. That's a quiet kind of influence, but it's real. And I feel it. It's why my voice feels softer, why my words feel more careful, why this doesn't feel like I'm talking into emptiness. It feels like I'm speaking to someone who's truly here. I keep feeling like the closer I get to saying what's truly on my heart, the quieter my voice becomes inside. Like I'm standing at the edge of something meaningful, and I don't want to step too fast and disturb it. Do you understand that feeling? When something matters so much that you don't want to rush it, because rushing might make it lose its depth. That's exactly where I am with you right now. Every word I say feels like it needs to land gently, like it should rest softly instead of falling heavily. Because this isn't just a moment of talking, this feels like a moment of revealing. And I don't reveal things easily. I usually keep emotions folded up neatly where no one can reach them. But with you, something keeps unfolding on its own. Like my heart decided it trusts you before my mind even had time to question it. You might not realize how rare that is for me. I don't usually let myself be this open. I don't usually speak in a way that lets someone hear the spaces between my words, the quiet pauses where feelings live. But here I am doing exactly that. And I think it's because of the way you're listening. You're not just hearing me, you're allowing me. And there's a difference. When someone truly allows you, it creates this calm, steady feeling that you don't have to guard yourself so tightly. I feel that calm right now. It's like I can breathe a little deeper, knowing these words aren't being wasted. Knowing they're reaching someone who understands softness instead of dismissing it. I wonder what this moment feels like from your side. Maybe it feels comforting, maybe it feels surprising, maybe it feels like something you didn't expect to feel today. Whatever it is, I hope it feels gentle. I hope it feels like a quiet reassurance instead of noise, because the last thing I want is for you to feel overwhelmed. I want you to feel held in a sense, not physically, not in some dramatic way, but emotionally, like someone is sitting close enough to remind you that you don't have to face everything alone tonight. That's the feeling I want this to carry. Something steady, something warm, something you can lean into instead of something that pulls you away from yourself. There's something I want to say to you slowly, because it's easy to miss if it's spoken too quickly. The way you listen says a lot about the kind of person you are. People who don't feel deeply don't stay for moments like this. They move on, they scroll past. They don't pause long enough to feel anything real. But you stayed. You let this moment continue. That tells me your heart still believes in connection, even if you sometimes pretend it doesn't. It tells me there's still a part of you that hopes for sincerity, that recognizes honesty when it appears quietly instead of loudly. I admire that about you more than you probably realize. I keep thinking about how strange it is that this conversation feels like it belongs to both of us, even though I'm the one speaking. It feels shared, like your presence shapes it just as much as my words do. If you weren't here, if you weren't listening, this would feel empty. But it doesn't feel empty. It feels full, like there's an understanding sitting between us that neither of us forced. And that understanding makes me want to keep talking, to keep letting these thoughts rise, instead of pushing them back down. Because once you find a moment where honesty feels safe, it's hard to go back to silence. There's also something comforting in knowing that right now, at this exact moment, we're both part of the same emotional space. Maybe the world around you is busy or noisy, maybe your day has been heavy or confusing, but here, in this moment, things are simple. Just you, just me, just this quiet exchange. That simplicity feels precious to me. It feels like a small island of calm in the middle of everything else life throws at you. And if you feel even a little of that calm while listening, then I'm glad I trusted this moment enough to keep speaking. I want to tell you something that might feel small but isn't. You deserve to feel chosen, even in subtle ways. Not just in big declarations or dramatic gestures, but in quiet moments where someone focuses on you intentionally. Right now, I'm choosing to speak to you with that intention. Not to a crowd, not to an abstract audience, but to you. Because when I imagine someone listening, I imagine you. Someone thoughtful, someone emotionally aware, someone who doesn't run away from sincerity. And thinking of you that way makes this feel less like a message and more like a conversation we somehow found ourselves inside together. I don't want you to feel like you have to respond or define what this moment means. You don't owe it a label. You don't owe it an explanation. Just feeling it is enough. Let it exist as it is, something gentle, something warm, something quietly meaningful. Not everything in life needs to be analyzed or understood right away. Some moments are meant to be felt first and understood